Welcome, everybody. It's Tab Bedromo, and it's Social Selling TV. Every week, we do an interview with a marketing expert, a sales expert, or someone that's just a lot of fun to talk to. You can find us on Apple TV, the iPhone, iPad, anywhere on the App Store. Sorry, we're not on Android yet, but we will. But you can also go to youtube.com, Social Selling TV, and find us too. And today, I'm interviewing Nancy Tierney, and Nancy and I met, years and years ago. We used to go to local networking events together up in Northern California. And we actually were in a little mini mastermind for a while together. And then Nancy announced, I'm moving to upstate New York. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And it turns out she moved probably about 15 minutes from where my wife grew up. So I actually visit that area quite often. But we haven't quite connected when we got there. But welcome, Nancy.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
That just blew me away when you told me you're in Kingston, right?
I'm in Kingston. And where did your wife grow up?
Well, she grew up in Goshen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Goshen. Oh, I have a good friend from Goshen.
And her sister lives like 5 minutes from you. What a small world.
It's a tiny world. Very tiny world.
It's great to catch up with you. I've been watching you from afar with your business. And
well, good.
What shocked me, like when we got together with that mini mastermind probably 10 years ago, I'd say.
Yeah.
I was just learning internet marketing. It's like you said, I'm learning copywriting. And you started talking about all these people you know. I was like, wow, somebody near me that actually is doing the same stuff I'm doing.
Yes. Yeah. And it's been, that's the way it's been. I mean, it's changed a little bit. It's like I'm moving away from formally doing formal copywriting for most of our coaches and consultants, and working a lot more in the teaching world. We're really teaching people and coaching people on how to do it themselves, mostly solo entrepreneurs, how to find their own unique voice and really use it in all their communications, and to just feel a lot more confident in their ability to communicate what it is that they do, and to write copy that actually expresses what it is they mean to say, and to do it in a way that gets people excited about what it is that they do.
Is it amazing how people are afraid to express themselves if they're a coach or an author?
Yeah, and I think, there's so many different reasons for that. I mean, I think it goes way back to our messages about expressing ourselves. I mean, I was even thinking about when we're young and we're always, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, or always told to be quiet. I mean, I think we've hushed kind of our own natural voice over our lifetime in order to try to fit in or to please the people around us. And so we kind of cut off the thing that really, in some ways, makes us unique in our voice and unique in our self-expression. Mm-hmm. And I think it also brings up a lot of fear when we're in a situation, especially like when we're supposed to be an expert or an authority and actually come up and say something that's supposed to be brilliant and worthwhile. I mean, it brings up a lot for people. Before I did copywriting, I was teaching people how to speak in public with unconditional confidence. That was the name of the business. And it's similar, it's about how do I come out and stand in front of a group of people, in real life, but also now in a virtual world, whether it's video or even just in our words in a blog post, how do I do that? And how can I feel confident in that and authentic in what it is that I present? So there's like the craft of it, like, here's how to write it in a way that people are going to hear you. And then there's the inner work of it, which is like, how do we get rid of all the stuff that's in your way from actually expressing what is unique and about you? So
that's what I love about it. I've watched your newsletter evolve over the years, and you just are great at just sharing stuff with people.
Well, thank you.
And tell people how you got started with your newsletter and what it was like writing your first newsletter, because I know that's traumatic for so many people.
Yeah,
Terrified.
It can be. It can be. Wow. I mean, I think I've done newsletters in all of my businesses, but I'll be honest with everyone, which is this one has a lot more, I'm talking about writing, right? I'm talking about communication and self-expression. So like this newsletter it better do a really good job of that. Otherwise, who's going to listen to me, right? So for me personally, it's like, yikes, but I think what I've really learned when I started it, it was just as a teaching tool. It's like, how can I just help people with their headlines or, their benefits and features and all that stuff, or pointing out things. I was pointing out things that I saw that people were doing wrong or doing it in a way that wasn't really helping them. And so it was like that. And then as it's evolved over time, it's become a lot more personal. So it's revealing a lot more about the entrepreneurial journey, revealing a lot more about my own things with confidence and communication stories from, my own life as I've walked this path. And stories of the people that I've worked with as well. So, and I have found over the course of being in the world of online communication, as you have, we both kind of started when it was like, no one was really doing it, or the people that were doing it, there was like a few amazing people kind of rocking it. Yeah. But now it's kind of like everyone's online and everyone's doing it. There's just so much coming at you, that we all have enough content. How many newsletters can I send about, how to write an email subject line? It's like anyone can get that information. All you have to do is Google it, and 5 million things will come up. So
people don't think that way, though. I think the same way. Why don't people just Google this?
And they don't.
They don't.
But I still think it's like they know that information is there, and I think people all of us have enough information. So what I've been trying to do in my email communication in particular, because I think it's the most intimate online communication that we have with our tribe. Social media is great, and social media is great. We love social media. But I think taking it from the platform of speaking to the many to the one-on-one through email is the way I look at it. I really see an email as like a letter. It's like an email it's going to be read by one person at a time. I think people are craving more than just information. I think it's really a connection and a sense of belonging and something that they can relate to personally. And so that's what's really changed for me. And also as my work has changed, it's changed as well. But anyway, to answer your question.
Well, with your newsletter, what do you call it? A newsletter? It's not a newsletter. That's so old fashioned.
Yeah, that is. What is it? It's whatever it is.
Well, I get hundreds of emails a day, with all these people. I subscribe to a lot of internet marketers just to see what their style is and how they're promoting. You always get me with your subject lines. You hook me. It's like, I want to read. I don't know if it's just because I know you, but everybody has here's that personal message from Nancy.
Yeah. Well, good for you for noticing that, because I feel that that's what really get subject lines that get open, that are a little bit more personal or that feel personal. And some people feel deceived by that, but it still has to be relative to your content. But I think email subject lines that, that I would write to a friend, or that, that you would put like, you can't, or you're never going to guess what happened, or, I think the subject lines that are a little bit vague and intriguing are more likely to get open than those that actually tell you what's in the email specifically. Like 3 tips to writing irresistible subject lines. Okay, I know that's in my inbox. I know I can open it at any time, and I know what's in it. But if there's a subject line where I'm not really sure what's in it, but it sounds intriguing, then I'm going to open it in that moment. And that's what we're up against right now. It's like
99% emails don't get open a lot of times.
No, especially if people will avoid it if they can. So you've got to make it sound like something that, that's either intriguing enough that they're just too curious and have to open it, or that it's something they need to open now because it sounds like something that they need right now.
Yeah. Because I teach people, especially on LinkedIn, when you're communicating with people, pretend we're having a conversation, just like we're having one right now. There's 2 of us in the room. We're at Starbucks having a cup of coffee. We're just chatting, getting to know each other.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you make the subject line interesting, and then you tell stories. I love your stories.
Do you?
Yeah.
Good. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I think what you just said is really important. And I think it's that same idea of like, making it casual and familiar and friendly, not familiar. Someone you say, you want to make it friendly, but not familiar, meaning not too familiar, but it's the same idea where I just want to tell you this story, or this is just what happened last week. Or it's the same as it would be with a friend when you're sitting down and you're going, Ted, you're not going to believe what happened last week, or you're trying to get a point across and an idea comes to you. It's the same way in conversation when we're communicating naturally with people that we know. Little stories and snippets come in, examples, anecdotes. So
like when you bought your house, you told the story. I found a house. I'm buying a house. And you named your house and the whole renovation process. You were sharing all these stories. Like, what's this have to do with their business? A lot. Because everybody got to know you on a different level.
Yeah. Yes, we all, what is that wonderful saying? It's like, we want to know who these people are behind the stuff, behind
the curtain,
behind the curtain, and we can all relate to the humanness of each other. Even if we can't relate to some of, the information, we can all relate to each other as human beings. And I think the more you're relatable, isn't that what relationship is about? Relatable relationship. It's like, that's what allows you to create a relationship with people. And I have found that people are often more interested in that aspect of my newsletter than any tips I can give them on copywriting or confidence or clarity. It's like, they appreciate it. I mean, I think there's two. I think for me, it's like I have two different people on my list. One just wants information on how to make things simple for them. It's like, give me a recipe, show me a way to make it simple. And the other is like, I don't really care about any of that, but I'd love to hear more about your house in New York and the snow and the cats,
Right.
Or something that you feel strongly about, So I think mixing it up is important. And I try to do that too. It's like, sometimes I come across my newsletters just kind of wham bam information. It's like, just recently it was like, how to write bullets. Here's some recipes, go use them. And then previously it was things that are a little bit more esoterical, like receptivity or confidence in what it is that you're doing, or kind of, the little demons that get into us and foul up our own self-confidence. So
yeah,
they vary. And I think that for me, that works for me because I don't get bored. And I think it works for my audience too. I think they appreciate both because they're never quite sure what they're going to get.
Which is great. It's good. It's better than some of these people just pump information at us. It's like,
Yeah. And it's good. And those people are good too because we always know where to go for that information. It's like I could, if I want to find something on blogging, I can go to ProBlogger. If I want to find something, a real authority, I can always find that.
Right. So where do you tell people to draw the line about sharing too much information or not enough? Or
I tell them to draw the line at the point where they're comfortable, meaning like some people are really comfortable sharing an awful lot. I know it's like just too much, and some people aren't. For the people that tend not to really share anything about themselves, I tend to nudge them further. And the people that are really comfortable in sharing an awful lot, it's like I just try to tell them, just make sure it's something that they can relate to. That you're not just using this as a way for you to rant. Ranting's good to a certain place, but just to, kind of spew your own kind of toxic garbage all over people. No one really appreciates that. Mm-hmm. And so you always want to share. I think that where you draw the line is this helpful or not? Is this helpful to the person who's reading it in any way, shape, or form? Does my story, is what I'm sharing, even if it's deeply personal, am I sharing it in a way that's actually helpful? Even if it's helpful in that people don't feel so alone, or they know that they're not the only one. It's like 3 years ago, I had a huge, major personal catastrophe in my life. And my way of sharing it was to write a blog post, and I told people what happened. And then I told them how I was able to keep working in spite of that. So it was to say, this horrible thing happened and like my whole life is just blown up and it's like, it's in a million bits all around me. And this is what I've had to do in order to keep working when I can hardly even function. So as a way for them to go, oh, this is what I can do. I mean, it was to give them that to go, oh, so this is what I can do when my whole world blows apart.
Right.
So that's kind of, you know, you can take anything in your life and turn it into a teaching tool in one way. So it's that lovely combination of taking what's real and true for you in the moment and saying like, how could I help someone else with this information?
Yeah. Showing your vulnerability, because, you know, we all have ups and downs. We all struggle. We all thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best thing that you can do, and the thing that will get read and get comments on, here's a little secret tip, is if you share a big mistake you made.
Yes.
People love hearing about your mistakes because one, they can all relate to it and they can all learn from it. And people's hearts just open to you in that, and they will respond. It's like people will respond more to your mistakes than to your brilliant authority. You know, it's like, wow, this just happened. I knew better. You know, I can't believe it. And here's what I learned from it. People just, I mean, because we all can relate to being imperfect and to screwing up.
Yeah.
And it creates that vulnerability and that intimacy that just allows that relationship to grow. People trust you more is what happens. People will trust you more. And that's what, you know, that's what it's all about.
If you're authentic. Because I know some of these guys do tricks like that.
Oh, well, yeah, the trick. Yes.
But you know it's fake. Well, we know it's fake because we know.
Dude, you can tell when it's fake. It's like, yeah. Well, then there's that.
Be authentic. Just be authentic and truthful. And
yeah. Just, you know, we all have who we are, and that's really enough. And just use who you are in your experiences in your daily life as a way to create content and as a way to teach people. Because when you do, it's just a lot more interesting than saying, here's my 5 steps to blah, blah. It's like to have a personal story around that. It's just a lot more interesting.
Yeah. Like, I got my LinkedIn account banned because I did this.
That's good.
And one of my competitors reported me.
Yeah. Someone that was banned from doing Facebook ads, and she had a great story about that. And it was really helpful because she didn't know what was going on. I mean, she didn't know she was screwing up. So, yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of wonderful stories you could tell.
It happens, you know. What the hell?
Yeah, use it. Leverage it.
So how did you get into copywriting and all this internet stuff?
Well, I think it happened through, I mean, all my life I've been writing copy. I just never called it that. It's like all my careers were based in words. Like if I did public relations in the wine industry, I did sales and marketing in the wine industry. I was the head of a fundraising department for a major nonprofit in Sonoma County. And my main job was to write stuff and create stuff that made people want to do something like buy more wine or donate a huge amount of money. And so I was doing it. I just never called it copywriting. It was just writing. I was just writing donation letters and writing ads and just doing that. And so it was, and then I didn't really call it copywriting until I got so enamored with the whole internet marketing world, you know, when that hit, and I just loved it. I loved everything about it. It was just something about as a tool for self-expression, which has always been, it's just been something I've always loved in my life, that anyone who has some kind of form of creative self-expression. So I think I fell in love with the whole internet as a way to create connections through self-expression that had never been available before. Yeah. And I was using my other business, Unconditional Confidence, where I was teaching people how to speak in public without melting into a big pile of, fear. But I was doing most of it online. I started a blog, and I was just, I started, I don't think I was into social media yet. I didn't get into social media until... It
didn't exist when you started this stuff.
I don't think it did. It really didn't. So, but I loved, I just loved that whole world, and I loved the blogging world, and I just loved the connections I made. So, And that's where I really learned the term copywriting. I mean, I think I'd heard about it before in marketing, but really writing copy for the online world was what I started to do. And I had friends and coaches that just started asking me to write their copy, even though that wasn't technically what I was doing at the time. Yeah. They just knew I could do it. They liked my writing, and they just said, "Oh, will you do my whole email series for me?" And so I just started doing it. And the more I did it, and the more people kept asking me to, and I kept getting a lot of referrals. And so I went, there was a man I once knew who says, pay attention to what people are asking of you, because it's often a really good indicator of where the direction your life needs to go, And I paid attention. So I really started focusing on writing copy and founded Firecracker Communications and really did that. I mean, really just said, okay, because up to that point, I had no formal training in copywriting. I was just writing, And then I just said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it right. And so I took some trainings from Lori Morgan Ferrero. She was probably the first person, and got additional training and with Sandy Krakowski, and then just some more internet marketing from Alex Mandossian, and just the old tried and true that were with us at the start, Ted.
Yes.
From the beginning, those are the people who were really just making it so exciting. And that's how I got started doing it.
It's so cool. Yeah. Well, I got a postcard in the mail around that time. It says, "You want a free lunch and attend this little presentation." So I asked my brother-in-law and my friend, "Hey, you want to go get a free lunch?" So we went to this conference. In 4 hours, they taught us all about internet marketing. I was like, wow, this is really good.
Who was teaching it? Do you remember who was teaching it?
It was some company. It was one of those factories, basically. And they're out of Utah. But we went to the next day. We got to go to a one-day seminar all day. And they taught us so much stuff. And, of course, we invested in their websites and set up online stores after that. But their training was amazing. And it wasn't that expensive looking back on it.
No.
And that's got me hooked completely. It was like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah. And I remember going to a book writing conference in Georgia. I don't know how many years ago it was, but most people were talking about internet marketing, and Tom Antion. I remember he had me mesmerized. He had me mesmerized with what he had done, selling little ebooks at that time, which weren't a big deal, selling little things on how to give a wedding toast. And he was making piles of money because not that many things were being sold online then. So he just put up this really bad looking thing, and he just sold millions of these things because there just wasn't a lot at that time. But it was fascinating, and he had this whole system, and that was great.
Really?
Those were the days, Ted.
Yeah, those were the days. And it hasn't changed in some ways, but it's changed a lot in other ways.
Yeah, it has. I just think, that it's just, there's so much more competition now that the old rules of marketing are more valuable now than ever, I feel. It's kind of like internet marketing. I think it was people were getting such fast results. They'd put something online and zoom, people would buy it. And then we all believe that, and more people, and even the people that would come to me when I was teaching more internet marketing strategy, they thought, all I need to do is put up a website and send out emails and I'm good to go.
Right.
And when that didn't happen, they were so disappointed. It's no, you got to work it. You got to work. You've got everything set up now. Now you got to work these tools that you have, just like any form of marketing.
You built the car, now you got to drive it and put gas in it and tune it up.
Keep driving it. Keep putting gas in it.
Right. So say I'm a coach. I just finished now. I don't have any website. I don't have any newsletter. How do you coach someone like that? How many emails should I send a week? How do I get my newsletter list built?
Well, if they don't have a website, we would, of course, start there. And I say, of course, and then I'm going to take that back. Because I just worked with someone who, she has a website, but she totally needed to redo it. And I said, we don't have to wait for your website in order to build an email list and start sending emails and building your tribe, because she really needed to build a tribe.
Yeah.
That was the number one priority. I said, so let's create a free opt-in of some kind, and we'll do a lead page, and we're just going to send people there. I mean, that's really all you need. And then we'll worry about, we can be working on the website while you're doing that. Yeah. So how I would work with someone is kind of just like that. It's like, what's the priority? What is it that you really need to do? What's your end goal? And so let's figure out what needs to be done first. And then just taking it almost like project by project. It's like, it's okay, but first we have to get really clear on who it is that you are, what it is that you're all about, what you stand for, and why people should even be paying attention to you in the first place.
Yeah.
And who are these people? It's like, I actually love starting there with a lot of people. It's like, who are you best suited to serve? Who do you want to serve? Who is your ideal client? And especially in terms of when you're creating copy, it's like, well, it's like that I feel for any marketing thing that you do, it's like you have to know who you're trying to talk to.
Right.
It's kind of like, yeah. So we start there. We just start with the basics. It's like, who's your people and how do you serve them, and how are we going to communicate with them? How can we express what it is that you do in a way that they can not only understand, but get really excited about? Mm-hmm. And really starting with their basic messaging, and messaging that really, separates them from all the other people that may be serving that audience. So, and once we do that, it's like that foundational work of like, who you are, what is your story, what you stand for, your why, your big why. If you have one, you don't have to have a big why. Everyone thinks you have a big why. You don't.
All those videos.
No. And I don't think people buy your why. I actually think people buy your what. That's a whole other conversation.
Right.
And then we just say what needs to happen first, and we really focus on creating the messaging for that piece. So if we're going to do an opt-in page, who are we writing this for? I mean, who's going to want this thing that you've created, this 5-page report on how to find God, whatever it is. It's like, who is your audience, and how do we need to really speak to them that they will get excited about this and not even hesitate to opt in.
Yeah.
But mostly now it's like through the process of that, what I love about through the process of that is a lot of people come to me and they aren't really all that clear. They haven't.
Most aren't clear.
Yeah. They know what they want to do. And then when we get down to the nitty gritty of communicating it, I find through the process of coming up with the words, of creating the copy, that one of two things happen. They get more confused because they haven't been clear from the start.
Yeah.
I ask them questions that they cannot answer, and they realize, wait a minute, maybe this isn't really the direction I want to go in, and they take a step back and they kind of recalibrate. Or the other thing that happens is that they do know, and as they find the words and we give them the words and they get them on paper and they can see them, it's like they get even more confident in what it is that they're doing and more on fire, because now they have a way to express it. It's kind of like, oh, I just got a whole new superpower. It's like, this is what I do, and I'm great at what I do, and I love serving these people, but not only that, now I can actually communicate it, and I can communicate it in any way that I want. It's kind of like, it just powers up their own fire. It's because like that, it's almost like we've rolled a big boulder out of the way, and now it's just full speed ahead. There's like nothing stopping them.
Yeah, they've got all this knowledge and everything inside them, they can't get it out.
Yeah, or they're not even sure what makes them different. I think that's what people struggle with too. It's like, yeah, but so-and-so is doing the same thing, and this is how he writes about it, and this is what he's saying, and I don't really know how to say it any different, and we have to dig a little deeper then. It's like, yeah, we do know how to say it differently because you're a different person. So let's express this how you would express it. Yeah. And let's express this in a way how you would be talking to somebody, not how this dude's doing it. So, and it's a fun process. It's a deep process. And some people, what I really love is when people through this process, what often happens is they actually start claiming some of the real gifts that they have that they've kind of pushed aside. Like they thought, oh, well, people don't really care about that. Or I don't know if I can say that. I need to say it this way. And we discovered that they've somehow said, no, I can't do that, or that's not important, when it really is. It's actually really vital, and it actually is really appealing to the people that they're trying to approach. And that's really exciting. It's kind of, that's a whole nother form of liberation as well. It's like, wow, I mean, I really get to do what I'm really good at. I don't have to pretend to be doing something else in order to get people to pay attention to me. So that's
the best part of coaching for me, is when they have breakthroughs and they just light up and they're like so excited. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. From going from like, to like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the fun part. And I love doing that through communication. You know, there's so many ways to do it, but it seems to happen for me when we're really working with.
Well, I think you kind of nailed it. You got to be really, really clear, especially these days with so much noise and competition. Who are you going to sell it to? What are you selling them? And why would they want to buy from you?
Yeah.
Say there's 100, at least 1,000 LinkedIn experts out there, quote unquote.
Right.
Why are they going to come to me as opposed to one of the other 10,000 probably now?
Yeah. Yeah. And some of that is just because, you know, you're you. I mean, some people just will resonate with your personality, which goes back to what we were talking about before, which is like the more you can allow who you are genuinely into your copy, into your communication, that's going to distinguish you. You know, that's going to separate you from the pack and go, yeah, I can get it over there, but you know that TED guy? I like that TED guy.
Right. Right.
I don't know, something about him, something about the way he, you know, something about those emails that he writes to me.
But if you know who you're looking for, like if you're a Democrat and you're trying to sell something to Donald Trump, you got to use different language. You're not going to resonate. They're not going to connect. So find those people that resonate with you, get really clear who they are, and give them what they want.
And I think what's important about what you're doing too is to be able to do that consistently and really show up and use your voice, show up and be present, you know, on social media, on LinkedIn, wherever you are. It's like, so people can actually get to know you. And so people can hear not only what you have to say, but the way you say it, you know, and who you're all about. Because you will resonate with those that you're meant to serve. You will, but you won't if you're not present. It's like, you're not going to do it by being quiet.
You got to do it every day. Like you get up every day and you write something on Facebook, some crazy phrase. How you doing? Muffin tops. Every day it's a different day.
I haven't used muffin tops, but maybe that will be tomorrow. In honor of Ted. Good morning, muffin top.
You just come up with the crazy things every day. It's like, whoa, where'd that one come from?
I know. I'm telling you, it's the toughest thing I do.
But it engages you. And people start looking forward. You know, Robert Middleton?
Yes.
Every Tuesday, he's been sending a newsletter for 20 years. Every morning, you can know Tuesday morning that newsletter is going to be in your inbox.
Oh, I really admire that. I really, really admire that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like watching a TV show. You know, on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, your show is on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have your newsletter or whatever. Don't call it a newsletter. It's just, come up with a new word for that.
E-blast, I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But communicate.
Your keep in touch. we got to come up with a different word here. We'll figure it out.
Your personal stories, but it's not always personal stories.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, well, Nancy, this has been great.
Oh, it's been fun.
So how can people get a hold of you and get on your newsletter, because it's one of the best out there?
Oh, well, there's several ways. You could just go to my website, which is firecrackercommunications.com. And I, of course, have a free something, which is my book, 12 Tweaks to Quickly Transform Your Message from Dull to Dazzling. I think that's the title. It's a long title. I love long titles. I don't recommend them, but I do love them. And I love that ebook. It's really a great guide and kind of like little mini Bible to, you know, anytime you're writing any kind of copy. It will really help you. So get your free copy of that. And you can contact me through the site. It's like so easy.
You're not one of those people.
And you can find me on Facebook.
Facebook or Twitter or all over.
Yeah, all over the internet world.
There we go. Well, thanks for your time. This has been really fun.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Ted.
Okay. We'll
All right.
talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.